Let's talk work binders. Very subtle, very common. I think it's underrated. I don't see a lot of people using them. At least not like a full-on binder, like full of actual stuff and not just one piece of paper. We used to have clipboards when I worked at the moving company, but they were literally just full of like the actual invoice and that's it. But I think this is a little bit more professional look, a little bit more old school, but I like it. This is just a standard leather binder with the zipper. I got it on Amazon for like 15, $20. And I got this when I first started and it's still in great condition. And this has been like thrown in my speed pack with all my equipment when I go in and out of jobs. So it's held up pretty well. Kudos to Amazon. But this is how it looks when I first open it up. I've had people like I've go to take payment and like they're just trying to pay me cash and I've gone to like open this up and stuff to go get their invoice and they're like, "Oh wow, you're like a legit company." And I was like, "Yeah. Yeah, that's why I pay $1,000 a month in just one of my insurances of my three." But the things I usually always keep on hand. There's no reason for me to keep these. I just kind of keep them just for, I guess, self assurance. But I have my COI copies, my state copies from Florida that I'm a registered business. And then I always keep some extra little card clips or some business cards attached to it. I like to give these to every job I go to, just so they can hand it out to, friends, families, neighbors, whomever. Always keep some extra business cards, pens, blah, blah, blah. This is my cover page. And then I like to use these plastic sheets just to kind of help maintain the quality of the paper. This is the SWA printout. You can get it from their website. They're updated every year. It just goes over the pricing for everything, whether it's garbage, construction, vegetation, so forth. I know in my head the garbage and the construction pricing, but say I were to go do a vegetation job, I have no idea what vegetation is because that's not a common thing I do. So I could look back at this and say, okay, it's going to be $35 per ton. So I'll know how to price my job if I were to do that. And then it also has all the locations in their county, the hours, the days they operate, so forth. And then on the next page, they kind of list out everything they do and don't take, which I think comes in handy because I don't think it's necessarily a common thing you're going to get stuff that you're not going to be able to dump, but you never know. And if you're kind of new to it, you're not 100% sure. It's useful to go through and just read this for your first time. Like for trash, it'll list out everything you can and can't take. For the most part, when it comes to majority of things on this list, except for like the specialty things like livestock waste, stuff like that, for trash and construction and stuff, the majority of the things that they look for is it needs to be like household related. Like if I go there with, 300 office chairs, it's not going to be the same as going there with, a couple of dining room chairs and some miscellaneous chairs from your patio and stuff like that. Or if I go there with a tires, for example, I've had a guy argue with me about tires. He had like 10 or 15 tires in his backyard, and I told him I can only take up to 4 because that's what the dump allows for. That's our restriction is up to 4. And he said, that's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. You just don't want to do it. And I opened this up and showed him. I was like, look at trash under household. 4 or less tires, right? Because that's what you would typically find in someone's garage. I can't just go there and dump 15, 20 tires, and he kind of was like, oh, okay, I guess so. So it doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. I always have paper copies in here. This is what I used to use. I would create them on Google Documents, and then I would just print them out as I needed to. And it's just standard stuff. I have my information, the client's information, the breakdown of the job, subtotal, discounts total, have them sign off, a standard little disclosure at the end, so forth. I started using this app called Invoicely, which I'll try to take some screenshots of some of the features of it. I found it to be pretty useful. It's $11.99 if you go month by month. It's $9.99, or actually I think it's $8.99 if you go by the year. But I wanted to try it out first, so I didn't do that factor. I'll probably switch to the yearly soon. But I found it to be pretty helpful. I think it's a nice touch having everything electronic, and then just being able to fax it over, or not fax it, email it over to someone's email, like with a copy of the invoice, and it's all professionally done and stuff. And it's super easy instead of sitting here writing it all down, especially if you're all sweaty and then you have like your forearm mark on the paper and you're scribbling because you're tired and sweaty and you're in a rush and it looks bad. So the app is pretty neat in a way where you can add in all of your items ahead of time, and then you can just plug them in as you go, and you can add discounts or taxes, whatever. So I'll try to do some screenshots and post that on the screen. This is my handy little pouch here. I got it from Dollar Tree. I also got these from Dollar Tree. This has been a real lifesaver for me. These little things, they come in 2-packs. I use them for like when I have the paper and I have an error, I white it out so it doesn't look messy. I don't want it to have a bunch of scribbles. I want it to be like neat looking and clean. I use Square for my credit card payments, and I always keep the slider in case the chip doesn't work. And then I always have the charger for in case there's a low battery, and then I always have an extra phone charger as well, just so I never have an issue when it comes to cards. The problem with taking a card manually, so like manually entering the numbers, is it's really easy for somebody to dispute that because they can say, well, I wasn't there. You know, for all they know, you know, they took a picture of your card, manually entered it, and then just scribbled a signature down. You know, whether it looks like theirs or not, there's no way of proving it. So having the card physically there makes it a lot harder for them to try to dispute stuff. That's something I've learned with moving companies. It happens a lot, you'd be surprised. And then at the very end, I have this pad where I'll write down the invoice number, the name, the day of the job, and how they heard about me. So this way I can go back later in the year and kind of figure out, you know, where are my sources coming from? They're coming from Google, or they're coming from realtors, or they're coming from Facebook, you know, they're coming from like my signs that I put out by the streets, or the referrals, whatever the case. One thing I don't have in here because it's in my apartment is a receipt book for cash payments. I used to get them from, I think it's Walmart. They're like $3 or $4 for 50 or 75 sheets. Ironically, I actually found some at Dollar Tree that look exactly the same, and there's 50 sheets in each one, and it's $1.25. So next time you go to Dollar Tree, keep an eye out for the receipt books. I ended up buying like 4 of them just to have on hand. But I think the work binder is a nice touch. I think it makes you look professional, and it helps keep everything together in kind of one area, and you always know where everything is. And then for the app, I'll try to do some screenshots and edit that in. I've been learning a little bit about editing, so hopefully that ends up working out. If not, you can just Google Invoicely, so invoice like a bill with the LY at the end. But I found it to be pretty useful. So I just wanted to go over that. I think it's a little subtle thing that you can use to kind of help you look a little more professional. But that is all. Thank you.